if there's anybody here who seriously thinks that Janowicz is going to have another run like that, then they're just full of shit. Because think about it. He benefited last year so much from Federer going out. That's not going to happen again. Federer has got his game in gear. He's playing better heading into this tournament than he did last year. And there's no denying it. You know, there really isn't. I have to say that right now that Janowicz will probably get through his section. I believe he will get to the round of 16. But Federer is going to be there to cut him right off. There's no way, any way in hell that he's going to get to the semis again. He's going to lose ranking points, and Federer's going to be into the Wimbledon quarterfinals again. You know, I already said it, so I might as well just do the top section before. I think if Wawrinka takes on Lopez, I got to give a ledge to Wawrinka. I know that, you know, Lopez is the smarter grass court player, but Wawrinka's more consistent from the baseline than other guys are than Lopez's section, such as Isner and Niemanen and potentially, you know, if Dmitry Tursunov would upset him. But Wawrinka's game from the backcourt's more consistent, and his serve is underrated. Besides, Wawrinka's got a clear weapon besides the serve, and that's his forehand. So if anything, Wawrinka has an edge. So I look for it to be an all-Swiss quarterfinal. Next section of the draw, I believe the round of 16 matchup that in a section that features Milos Raonic, the 8th seeded Canadian, and number 10th seeded Japanese player Kei Nishikori. I honestly look at this section, I just say, you know, if Raonic plays decent, I think he's got a clear path to the quarters, and actually, in my opinion, maybe even a clear path to the semis. But if you look at his section, there is nobody in that section that should threaten him. Guillermo Garcia Lopez, the highest ranked seed he'll face, is the first seed he'll face. That's a straight sets win. Philip Kohlschreiber, 22 seeded German, potentially in the round of 16. That's a 4-set win at most. Kei Nishikori, you could argue maybe a 4 to 5 set match, but come on. That serve on this court is more than enough to compensate for any consistency off the baseline that Kei Nishikori might have. It offsets it completely. Because Nishikori is going to be putting a little more work into his service games because he doesn't serve as big, and Raonic will get big points more easily with his huge cannon of a serve. So I got to give him the edge, and you also have to look at it from a different point of view of you got two guys here on a decently fast court, and one of them has the huge guns, and the other one does nothing but play defense and can play consistent. I know Nishikori can play with some emotions, and I got to give him a lot of credit. He's had a hell of a year getting into the top 10. But Raonic, I think he's a little overmatched against Raonic. The next section, obviously, second seed Spaniard Rafa Nadal, the bottom of the draw. And his section features 13th seeded Gasquet and 24th seeded Gael Monfils, loaded with talented freshmen. But honestly, I'm not necessarily sure about Nadal, because let's put it this way. You look at his last few Wimbledons, he was not 100% because he just won the French in 2013 and he was pretty tired. He won it in 2012 and was not playing well, even winning that French tournament. And he comes in the second seed and gets beaten in 5 sets by Lucas Russell, who he could potentially play in the round of 64, the same round as before. So we're looking at potentially deja vu here. Because if Russell beats him, that would mean that in Nadal's past 3 Wimbledons, he's won 2 matches. For a guy who was making the finals and the semis every time he was playing here, that's not saying much. But I don't believe he's going to suffer a defeat that early. I believe Nadal's got a really good shot. I believe Nadal, is still physically not even near 100%. I don't think he is. You look at the fact that Dustin Brown, the German, took him out at Halle. In hindsight, you really can't say that's that big a deal, because when Federer won his Wimbledon in 2012, Tommy Haas beat him in the final of Halle, Germany. I know Haas, the German, had the home crowd backing him, but think about it. It's Haas. And other than that match, since, I think, 2002, Federer has absolutely owned Tommy Haas. So I give Nadal pretty clear shot to the round of 32. I mean, Russell would have to reproduce that Herculean effort to beat him again, because since he beat Nadal, he ain't done shit. And the round of 32, again, look at it. It'll be Ivo Karlovic probably. Nothing but a serve. But in any case, that might actually not be too bad, because the kick serves that Nadal's going to hit him aren't going to bother him as much as another guy, even though Karlovic's returns are absolute shit. But think about it. Nadal already stands 10 feet behind the baseline to return serve. If Karlovic can get into net, that could potentially be problematic. Because I've always felt that if a guy can serve and can come to the net pretty effectively behind it, he can beat Nadal on any surface, because think about it. Nadal's already far enough back as it is. You cut off with a volley and game over. But still, I give Nadal the green light even through Karlovic to the round of 16. He'll probably pick on Richard Gasquet, so that means that he's going to be taking it on a talented freshman, because I don't believe Monfils is going to get through that. Give me Nadal over Gasquet, and then we get to the point. See, Nadal is most vulnerable the first 2 to 3, 4 days of Wimbledon. The first 4 days of the tournament when he's at his most vulnerable, because it plays like a true grass court back in the old days. Nowadays, if Nadal can sink his teeth into the Wimbledon tournament and get into the second week, then really there's not anybody who's got a chance of beating him, because he ups his serve speed, he ups his forehand speed, he's moving quicker, and the grass plays like a clay court. Essentially, it's like a second Roland Garros to him after the first week. I like Nadal to the quarters, but I think we're going to see an upset. I think Raonic is going to beat him, and I'll tell you why. Because for Raonic to make the quarters of the French Open really says something to me. It tells me that this offseason, the guy is putting in the work to become a better tennis player and a better athlete. And in the game of tennis, when you commit yourself to being physically fitter and physically tougher and a better athlete, then pretty much you're going to do better. And his results this year, if you look at him through the 2014 season, I know a run-to-loss record of 19-9 may not sound impressive, but look at the guys he's coached by. Ivan Ljubicic is a great coach, because he may not have had great success on grass, but if you look at his game, it was perfect for grass, and he's going to be able to help him. All right, big serve on this point. You know what I'm saying? Just that kind of mentality. Having a guy who's been top 2, 3 in the world teach you. Because people forget Ljubicic in 2006 made it to number 3 in the world. So that sets the bottom half. That means the quarterfinal will be between Milos Raonic and Rafa Nadal, and then Stan Wawrinka versus Roger Federer. You can flip a coin of Wawrinka Federer, but I think on any other surface, on clay you can flip a coin, on hardcore you can flip a coin, on grass that coin is 75-25 Roger. Because Wawrinka may have a big serve and a big forehand. I don't trust his game on grass enough. Because Federer, I think Federer realizes that this is his best chance to win more majors, is at Wimbledon. And that him on the grass is the toughest threat to other guys versus hardcourt. Hardcourt and clay, he has to put more work in. He's got to spend more time staying fit. On grass, he can more or less sneak through his matches at a more efficient pace. The fact that he's playing better through this point than he was a year ago or even 2 years ago is suggesting that he is playing better to the point where if he's on his game, it's going to be really tough for people to beat him. My theory is that Fed will take out Wawrinka, and then I believe he'll take on Raonic in the semis. Because I believe Raonic has the game to upset Nadal. And honestly, I don't even think Nadal would beat Federer on this court, because it's one thing beating Federer on clay, and it's one thing beating Federer on hard court. Grass has always been Federer's best surface. I like Federer through to the final, take on Djokovic. In this final, so many things can happen. You could get a repeat of 2012, where Federer produced some incredible magic, and he got lucky playing indoors. He was able to take out Djokovic in 4 on his way to his 7th Wimbledon title. Or you could get what happened in 2013, when Federer played a guy who nobody knew about, came in and beat Federer convincingly on grass. You can get a lot of things with Roger in the final of a Grand Slam, even though Stakhovsky, that was a second-round match. I give Federer, I think Federer right now is the second favorite in this tournament next to Djokovic, because Murray's been injured, Nadal's really been injured, and if you look at the other top guys in the game, they don't have the consistency to be labeled as higher-ranked favorites, such as Berdych, such as Raonic, such as Gasquet, such as Nishikori, such as Ferrer, such as Tsonga. They don't have it. And Wawrinka, although maybe the only other player here, he might actually be the third favorite. I'd rank him ahead of Nadal at this point because of his better health and his more aggressive game plans, but I rate Federer as the second favorite right now for a reason. That he's got all the game, he could beat anybody on grass, but I still think Djokovic would be a little too much for him on grass. The way I see it, I was wrong at Wimbledon, and I kind of, at the French Open, I want to be wrong this time because I want Federer to win his 8th Wimbledon. I believe that Djokovic will take out Federer in 4 sets in the final. That's just how I see it playing out. I'd love to be wrong, but the more I think about it, you've got to give an edge to Djokovic because of his consistency. I hope everybody enjoyed my preview of Wimbledon. Be sure to catch the tournament. Live coverage starts tomorrow, so be sure to watch. And as always, thank you and have a good one.